Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday, June 3rd. Pretty exciting day for many of you. I know that in the city itself of Chicago, it's your first day back into phase 3 of the recovery program. And before I get into that, I just want to say that over this last 4 or 5 days, I think that there's so much that's come to mind, maybe even longer. There's so much that's been brought to the surface about things that haven't been right for hundreds of years in our country and in the world. And not that I have the solutions, but what I just wanted to share, what this has caused, I think, all of us to do is look internally and think about what opinions, what attitudes, what actions that I might have need to change. How can we do better? How can I do better? How can we address some of the inequities that have taken place over these hundreds of years? And I just want to say sincerely that for those of you, for those of us, for all of us that are challenged and suffering and affected personally by what's taken place, both with the murder violence of George Floyd and of the protests that are peaceful, that didn't have an opportunity to really be recognized as peaceful, for those that were violent that turned to be criminal. It just is a very, very difficult time. It hurt to see the salons that were broken into 3 days, 4 days, in some cases 2 days before their reopening in Chicago. And so to all of you, I just want to offer prayers. I want to offer sincere introspection for what we can do. The fact that we can do better is for sure. The fact that we need to all be called to do better is for definite. I heard Tom Izzo speak this morning on the radio, and he talked about that a lot of these surnames or prefixes need to be able to go away. The Italian American needs to become American. And I not that solves anything of the long term, but all of these extra titles that are in place, what we need to see as human beings. And I think that this whole stay at home really showed us how much we need contact and how much we need human beings in our lives. The fact that a lot of that was taken away left many, many of us very empty and very anxious and very frustrated. And I think that certainly we need to address going forward how we can do better as an industry, how we can do better as a city and state, how we can do better as a country.
Did I get in the way?
You did, but they saw your coat. Wasn't that nice?
Yeah, I was in traffic.
Okay.
They look at.
Yeah, welcome.
Let me cover up some things. How you
So
doing?
while Terry's getting ready, I just wanted to say that as we move through this, not only the new normal that exists in the salon industry, but hopefully a new normal that's going to exist in our outlook on how we look at the citizens and neighbors and neighborhoods in our world. So with that, I just want to say, Chicago, congratulations. How cool is that you're open today? Even though it's 25% occupancy, I would love to hear how you did with the 25% occupancy and how you did with getting back into the salon. I've heard everything from my legs are killing me to my back is killing me to the mask is so hard to wear all day and it's so hot and I don't know if we can blow dry because it makes it so much hotter when when we're blow drying to be in this mask. There's a lot of different things that you're going to experience today while you're at the salon for the first time. And for those of you that opened last Friday or Thursday, you've now got a few days under your belt. I've seen everything from what I've seen on social media is a little different from what I've heard in direct text back and forth. And I think that the social media tends to bring out some of the negative in a lot of us. And I've seen some things that I wouldn't be comfortable if I knew a guest that was in the salon read. If when you go back, people buy more retail than they normally would because they were worried about you. If when you go back, they give you a larger gratuity than they would have on a normal visit. Those are wonderful things. But those are pluses. Those are things from a person's their ability to do so and their want to do so. And so to talk about the fact that you've had not great gratuities like you expected, or to talk about the fact that people are uptight and anxious and aren't going along with the masks, and we're having to argue this and argue that. Just remember, this is new for everyone, and we certainly don't want to pass judgment on anything or anyone in this time. What we have to do is adapt. We have to adapt to the new way, to what we're called to do right now, and I think that what a trip to the hairdresser or barbershop has always been is the best appointment in someone's day. We need to be sure that we keep that as the best appointment in someone's day, regardless.
That's good.
A friend of mine, Zig Ziglar, always said that if you feel you're not being paid what you're worth now, continue to work hard, continue to do the things that you should, because eventually you will be paid in a way that's commensurate to what you're worth. And so realize, what could I do different in order to bring out that response? Or is it a neighborhood? Or is it that I haven't been doing their hair that long? It can be a whole bunch of different things. Is it a brand new guest that couldn't get in somewhere else? So you're all going through this for the first time together. This is first week. Indianapolis, Marion County, you just opened up on Monday, June 1. And so I think for the first time since March, our entire states of Illinois and Indiana are open for business.
Well,
So now what do we do?
I kind of feel like I'm open for business today.
Well, you're here. Yeah.
Well, I'm here. That's a good
Well, your
thing.
nails are done,
Well, I did it for a reason.
of course,
They're both.
because you wanted your nails done.
Well, I wanted my nails done, and I was starting to look really bad, and I had to take off the dip. I don't know what you would say, sealant or whatever. Steve and I actually tried to accomplish that together months back, right? So they've been in need, but what I really wanted to do was just inspect today and watch the process. And I want to start off by saying that I believe the nail salon did beautiful things preparing the building for bringing their guests back. All right, so I'm going to say that. And I'll tell you why this is important that you hear this way. The plexiglass between the stations, the plexiglass, the taping on the floor, the signage, what they had to do physically to get the business ready, which is, in some ways, might be the most time-consuming part, but at the same time, it could take up a lot of time, and so therefore we don't think of the other things, of the steps of the service. So let me tell you where the breakdowns happened today as I witnessed them. Number one, they were taking appointments and walk-ins. All right, so it's two different kinds of customers. The appointments were all confirmed. The appointments were telling the guest what to expect. The appointments.
Can I tell you?
Yes.
Technically, that's that's a breach in following the order. They're to be there to be by appointment only, one guest per service
I
provider.
understand that, but when you say, here what happens, they didn't
Okay.
want to, but they didn't want to turn it away when the person created such a fuss.
But remember what we said with Kelly.
I understand that. So, hold on. But the person outside didn't know what to do with it. All right, so let's go back. Number one, even the people with appointments weren't honoring the system of waiting in their car. So what happened is they started putting chairs outside. It looked terrible. So, and then they tried to put them social distancing apart. Here's a chair, here's a chair, here's a chair. So when someone got up, someone else grabbed it like musical chairs. It was not organized, to say the least. Not because of the efforts of the staff, it's because the customers think they are going to help the process, number one. Number two, when I was told to get out of the car and come up to the area, they said someone will be there with a clipboard. Well, I couldn't identify who that somebody was. If you are going to have someone greet on the outside of the building, I suggest you have them in a colored vest or something so it's obvious who's working the crowd and expediting the crowd on the outside. That was a nightmare. Also, people started to fight in, I got here first, I got here second, who's third, who's fourth. It was kind of a little bit of a free-for-all outside, and especially the elderly, they were really keeping score on who arrived and when. Okay, so that part happened. When you walked inside, they gave you 1 square foot to step in the door. At that time, they said, we need to get temperature, so come over here. Well, I followed her, and she goes, oh, no, not over there, over here. So then I had to follow somewhere else. So what they were trying to do was make the front desk, was trying to make the front desk facilitate all the other things that it usually doesn't. So you didn't know where to stand and you didn't know what to do. What I would suggest is having a podium when the guests walk in, that they do everything right there at the podium, if at all possible. Whether it's, we're going to take your temperature here, we'll announce you, your service provider will be up to get you. But even that, now remember, what I'm talking about is not things about the setup, it's about expediting the guests. Someone's got to be in control up there. And you can't do it with someone that doesn't know how to take control. It was really at the demise of the business up there because people started rolling their eyes and such. They wanted service, but they didn't know who was in charge. It wasn't obvious who was expediting the front. That is key too. When I got to the station, it was completely wet. So they said, just stand here while it dries. It takes 4 minutes to disinfect. I shouldn't have been called back until that station was ready. Or also they were saying things like, is this station ready? Is this station ready? Can we take this out loud in the business? Versus creating a visual that would say the station's ready. Because I'm going to tell you, in another week of asking that question, they're not going to care if the station's ready. They couldn't get anyone's attention at the front, so finally they said, just go ahead and sit down. What do you think that's going to look like when the disciplines lessen up? It's going to be a free-for-all. I thought that what they did as far as trying to disinfect and wipe down everything was good. It's a high-traffic business, and I think they were doing the best they could, but the staff isn't all on the same page. And the staff isn't doing everything exactly the same way. Where you wash your hands, there was soap up there, there wasn't a disinfectant up there. I didn't see that area serviced. Not that it has to be, but also these are the questions I was asking as I was looking around. Upon checkout, you didn't know which person to go to. You weren't escorted to the front and did a professional pass-off. I think, again, that's very important during these times. A professional pass-off with the ticket, and then disinfecting a pen before you give it to a guest to use versus just say take it out of the general pen box. And the way that credit cards are exchanged maybe could be on a plate. I'm not sure, but it just wasn't polished. and not because of their effort. That's not the problem here. It's not everyone's on the same page, and not everyone feels the disciplines to do it exactly the same way. So what questions do you have for me on that?
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
Just, I want to share some things I was thinking as I listened to you. One is that it's often said that money can buy you a house, but only you can make it a home. And what I think about that is it's the house is the physical structure. And what you said was a lot of effort had been put into the physical
Absolutely,
structure.
and I believe a
of the
lot of
business.
salons have done this too,
Yes.
the physical side.
Absolutely.
And the PPE side, you know, the components.
So now it's time to make the house a home. And what makes a house a home are the people who inhabit it and the way they interact with one another and the values that they share and the circumstances. And this is where we were talking a lot as we were quarantined. We were talking a lot about get your steps of the service. The footprints are new. Find ways to teach that and to implement that. I got a text, it was either last night or the night before, from one of our really good friends that's a salon owner. And what she said is she said, Steve, people don't read their emails. They don't read your social media. They don't read the signage that we have throughout the salon.
So you have to expedite the whole process verbally.
Absolutely.
Have to. And that's what I saw missing today.
And so therein lies the challenge. The fact that I think you as salon owners are ready. You're ready for the workday. And I think that you as a team may still have some distance to go.
Well, and that's a great point, because at one point, the missus of the business, it's a husband and wife team, she started to expedite outside, and immediately you saw more organization because she was out there and she understands what she's trying to accomplish. I saw her go back in and give direction, and they just nodded at her, you know, these young girls just nodded at her. And I know what she was trying to accomplish, but she wasn't giving the whys behind it, or it looks a little sloppy to me, let's clean this up a little bit. But I believe you've got to manage and expedite this person on the front. Right here, allow me, right this way, I'll introduce you, your service provider's ready, let me escort you up front. All that has to be done, not because they are new to your business. You're saying they've been here 20 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. This is a new way of enjoying your business, right?
Well, it's a new way for the guest and it's a new way for the service provider.
Exactly, it's both. So
And-
don't feel like a guest. I mean, I've been there, I've been going there 10 years at least, and I had to figure out how they wanted to serve today. And it wasn't my place to go into a teaching mode. They're still working out the bugs. I just hope they work out the bugs to perfect them versus saying, oh, that's too hard to facilitate. Also, I believe if you're doing a shift change, here's another thing. Create some time to do a shift change so you can disinfect even the front desk area. The one girl said, has this been wiped? This is all happening while I'm checking out. Am I supposed to jump? Is this where you want me? And has this been sanitized for me? Am I ready to jump in? Where do you want me? And I witnessed that conversation. Not that it's horrible, but they weren't prepared. They weren't prepared to exchange positions.
Yeah, and the thing is that under the pressure of a guest standing in front of you, what's going to happen is they're going to revert, not even knowing it.
Back to the
They're
other
going
way.
to do what they've always done.
Exactly, in
Because
your
of
business.
muscle memory. And
Mind
it's-
memory.
Yeah, and it's just, it's something that is going to take. You know how they say, don't practice until you get it right, practice until you can't get it wrong. And that's really...
Well, let's reiterate. Once again, the tape was on the floor. First thing I walked in, I looked at tapes on the floor here. Things are up. I asked, what are we doing when a guest walks in? The smell of the building isn't acceptable to me right now, which I understand. This is just here, just things that I saw. But it's because we haven't been open, and we've got to get the basement smell out again, right? After being closed up. So but I saw the markings. I saw the intentions. I saw the intentions in that business this morning too. They were solid. The intentions were solid. But you throw a mix of strangers into that mix, and now you've got chaos if you're not careful. And you have to do it with positioning your staff where they need to be. Where are your resources? Are they stepping out? Are they coming out to the front? Are they helping? Are they going outside? You've got 10 people outside, and you've got one person trying to facilitate that, and they weren't using a walkie-talkie to announce anyone. They weren't using a way to say who you call them for next. That was all done opening the door. Are you ready for? I mean, you can imagine what that looked like. But I know their intentions were solid. We just got to work out some things to make that flow nicely. And remember, mask wasn't a problem for them. They've always worn them.
Right.
Right? So they've got to work out these other details.
Okay, there's a couple of products that
And questions, please list them if you have them, because I'll be able to say, did I witness that today and what would I have done differently?
There's a couple of products that we have come across, mostly because of the schools and trying to get the schools ready because they have not reopened yet, just as an FYI for everyone. We don't know a date yet on the Chicago school, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to open up on Monday for the Lombard school. Okay. So in looking at that, there's a product that I'd never heard of before, and I don't know why all of us haven't heard of it, if it's everything that it's said to be. And it's called...
Sorry, I know it's making noise.
microshield360.com.
Is that the one I sent you?
And what MicroShield is it's a two-step process that's sprayed in your business, on computers, on your equipment, on your floors, on your ceilings, on your refrigerators, on your microwaves, on your dispensary, on your color bar, everywhere. It's not cheap, but it is disinfecting and protecting your business for a year.
1 year.
For 1 year.
Well, first of all, how do they know a year? Through testing?
Through testing.
Let's hope, yeah.
So that's one thing. And I'll know more information as I've got some questions out to them right now, because it looks like we may be using them for our schools. And there's another thing that is, I think immediately, I would suggest you all go and do this. And it's a company called Nanoseptic. Nano, the word nano, and then septic.com. And what that is they are coverings that you put on door handles, that you put on push
doors.
Like push doors, push bar doors. You can
Could be them in the color bar area.
You can put them on surfaces like your front desk. They have mouse pads. They have all kinds of different applications for this particular product. And it's self-cleaning in that once you've applied it, you need to change it out every 90 days. So it has a 90-day lifetime, not the 360 days like the spray to process, but this is something that goes in your high-touch areas. So your door handles, your computers, your keyboards, your screens, all of those things, can be. Your high-touch areas can be treated with this.
Oh, I had something else to say.
So, with that in mind, I would check it out. They have starter kits. You'll see when you go to their website, it's mobile friendly. I would look at it. It's not expensive, whereas the MicroShield 360 is expensive. And they do different
but
things.
it's for 1 year.
And they do different things. Yeah, it's for 1 year. This is for 90 days. You will change this out. But most of you have restroom doors. You've got front doors that people are going to be touching, and you're going to have to be cleaning. This NanoShield is just cleaned with a non-abrasive cleanser to wipe it down. You don't need to keep using antiseptic or harsh things, harsh chemicals.
Okay, so let's go back. A couple things. I forgot to talk about the young lady that did not have an appointment. I want to address that too. When we said no common area, that didn't mean move your waiting room outdoors. Don't let the customers do that to you. I know that's tough, but I would rather sit in my car with the air conditioning on, listening to music until they called me in. However, this is what they said to me. And if we don't answer the phone because we're so busy, please just come in and we'll have someone outside with a clipboard. Well, all that did was open up everyone's opinion of they must not be answering. Let's just all go inside. Think through those steps again. As far as the young lady that did not have an appointment, I'd be happy to schedule with you, or would you willing to wait? And I would have a separate area for her to wait during that time and saying, and today we'll be taking temperatures. We're asking that you have a mask on or we can't serve you. These are the things that we're asking. Can you be in support of that? All they did was say, let's see what we can do. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. And she didn't cause a big fuss. She goes, I'm here. I can see people can take me. And certainly we still have to give our dialogue during that process.
And it should be just that. It should be our dialogue. Mm-hmm. Don't leave it to chance, because people will say something. They'll wing it. Both sides are going to wing it to get what they want. And I think that we have to, this is an opportunity to say that we really mean it. And this story doesn't fit, but it does fit for what I'm thinking today. I watched a video, and I probably watched, truth be known, about 5 videos, and I listened to a podcast about a baseball team.
Loved it. I've watched all of it too.
Have you?
Loved it.
And here are the Savannah
And I'm getting
Bananas.
you yellow tuxedos.
Yeah. The Savannah Bananas.
Got a cheddar message too.
It's not even a minor league ball club. It's a
Summer league.
college,
Summer league for college students.
summer league, wooden bat league that fills a stadium more than most minor league teams. They're sold out every night.
Well,
4,000 people.
You know what their whole mission statement is? Fans first. That's it. Just fans first. How are we going to do it? They ask a lot of questions. What can we improve upon? What can we do? What would make it better? What would make them high five? What would make their day? Fans first.
Yeah, and they also believe that the players play better
When that's going on.
when the fans are enjoying themselves.
And having a good time, yeah.
And having a good time. Mm-hmm. And so it's all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's things any ball club could do. It's things that usually what sets one business apart from another is all the little things that they're able to identify that if they did them made the big difference.
Well, and I think back, when I was watching today and they were talking about beach balls in the in the crowd and hitting them around and stuff. We can't ask people to do beach balls in the crowd in the salon, but we can still ask them to have a good time.
Well, let me give you an example. They have players out in the parking lots greeting people as they arrive at the ballpark. Mm-hmm. Players, the same players that are going to go in and play rather well. Right? We're still wondering, should we have our team meet and greet
at the front
the
desk,
guest at the front desk during this time,
or check out,
and take them through the check-in procedure with the temperature and walk them back, so we don't have to have someone walk back a guest to the station. There's some stylists that think, I don't need to do that.
What a great way to entice people to join our industry. I read one of the things that the questionnaire said, what happens if we were allowed to let them listen to the locker room? What about watching them listen to a coach talking to a player? What about the players talking in the dugout? Can you imagine if hairdressers thinking about being a hairdresser could hear conversations
Well,
that
did you listen to any of the hot mic?
No, I didn't listen to Hot Mic.
There's videos on hot mics where one player is mic'd while he's playing the game.
How cool is that? Why don't you hot mic a hairdresser?
And so here's a pitcher talking to the batter. He's on the mound. He's saying, come on, get in the batter's box. Let's go. Let's play the game. And, things that you would think when you're watching on TV, but they really do say it.
But you could hot mic a hairdresser behind the chair and not show her customers. But she can hot mic and listen to things she's talking about. It would probably professionalize.
Yeah, they'd definitely clean up language, wouldn't it?
Probably clean up that and clean up stories that they're sharing, right? But what the point is keep believing that you can make it even bigger and better with a broader stroke of thinking, right? And that's what I enjoyed from it. And I've already put some calls in. I talked to their front office, and they were wonderful on the phone, which I expected.
Right.
It wasn't just answering the phone. It was about how can we get you to be a fan of the bananas.
The bananas.
That's right. And the owner owned 7 tuxedos, and his staff loved him so much that they ordered a custom tuxedo in yellow for him that he could wear. And his wife, you say, what do people not know about me? That I love men in yellow tuxedos. Right. So anyway, I hope this is providing. Are we getting some questions on this?
We have one question.
Okay.
They're just wondering about suggestions for how to book clients when open with like a surplus of clients.
I think you all go to the front of the house and greet your client.
How to schedule them.
How to schedule them? I mean, if you're going to schedule them, especially that first turn, make sure that the staff goes up and greets them themselves and as part of the process. We're no longer in a position right now to tell the front desk to do everything, right? We've got to add value and assist wherever we can. So this isn't, let me know when my guest is here. That time of that kind of conversation should be over. We're all in this together, and when we're not with the guest, we're gonna be helping another guest out or another team member and looking for the next guest to arrive.
And remember, we've always said that when you are on the salon floor, you're on stage. Every guest in that business, however few or many there are, because we are limiting the number of guests depending on where you're at, they're going to be watching what people do. And if you're still committed to safety, even if you personally don't have a guest right now. And so there are things in the guidelines that talk about the fact that staff shouldn't congregate.
No.
No one should see 3 or 4 staff members off to the side talking while they're waiting either for someone to bring their guest back.
It's a problem businesses have had their whole lives. They're more willing to connect to each other versus finding someone to connect to.
So the suggestion that I would have is take a look at what the timing is on your services now. And it may be different for every guest. First suggestion is don't schedule everyone on the hour. Don't schedule everyone on the 15 minutes. Don't schedule everyone on the 30 minutes or the 45.
Stagger.
What you want to do is you want to be able to stagger that, I would say at least by 5 minutes each service provider, so that you can go through what has to be done as they enter the business, so that we can do the temperature check, the waiver, the kind of the guidelines of the salon, how we're going to do things, and then be escorted back to the station.
You know, we were went to see Emma last week in North Carolina. She's attending school down there, and we went down, and on our way back, we had dinner in Knoxville on Saturday night, their first night open, right? And we were at a high-end steakhouse, and we met some friends there. But what I was alarmed at the podium is they had 3 hostesses up there. Why? Number one, why? What were they doing? What was their responsibility? But when you walked in, they just, I can't even explain it. They never opened their bodies up to greet a guest and talk to them. They pretty much stand at their podium like they're looking at a screen on their phone and just acknowledge you. Hi, glad you're here tonight. But they never lean in and connect with anyone. Those girls leave an impression on you of any kind?
The girls didn't. Our server did.
Our server did. He did a nice job. And but the girls did nothing. And even the manager, when he walked the business, there wasn't enough presence there. But that's something we've been talking about for years. You want to come in? You can come back here. We've been talking about it for years, that teaching that is critical. And that's why, even with Jack.
Hi, bud.
Hi everyone, me again. Hi everyone, I love you all, sweeties.
Okay, so we were talking about, we had dinner on, what night was it? Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
And the server was wonderful with you, wasn't he?
Donovan?
He
Donovan?
was the best whatsoever.
Whatsoever. He was a great server, but he realized that Jack needed extra verbiage, extra attention, and he gave it to him. So he was paying attention to the cues we were giving him, right? Yeah.
You
That
had
was
a great
good.
meal, didn't you? Don't-
So that's a lot to, don't do that. Don't be silly. Hey, be a business person now. Stand up straight, business person. Okay, good. So what we want to say last is think about those things that we talked about today. Go back and dissect what it looks like or what it's going to feel like. And I'm glad I could bring that to you because once again, I don't want you to think I'm critiquing that business in a negative way. I think they did a lot of work to open their doors and be ready. I just think that the customers are going to put, they're going to cramp it a little bit. And they've already asked them, they already gave in to seating outside, they already gave in to not waiting in the car. And be careful. If I'd rather have someone walking in the parking lot, getting their names and doing that versus trying to do that with chairs outside. So thank you, everyone. We're going to see you on Friday, right?
Thank you. We'll see you on Friday. Hopefully we'll have some news from the field, from talking to some of you that are back and behind the chair and have some successes and some challenges. But just know that we appreciate you. We're so glad that you're back servicing guests and doing what makes your heart sing. Know that we love you and we're here for you, and we can't wait to finish out this year and bring on a tremendous future.
What do you want to say?
Bye, everyone. I love you all, sweetest, and thank you.
And say
everyone.
congratulations.
And congratulations
On opening
on opening
your salons.
your salon.
Bye.
Bye, sweeties.